Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Urban Facts. It's Thursday, December 29th, and I am Eamon Hotep Parker, your host. And I just want to welcome you guys again to the show. Today we will be interviewing this young lady right here, Miss Shayna Yvonne Rudd, artist, the artistic director and therapist. She is the director at the Legends House, and we will be definitely getting some information from her in regards to her life, you know, anything she got going on and things of that nature. So I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday. Um, I definitely, had some wonderful things going on. Spend some time with family, which is always good. Uh, thank God it wasn't any traumatic situations going on in the neighborhood, around the community, at least that I heard of anyway. You know, um, let's get right into the show. So, this show is brought to you by the Ethel Lee Zachary Foundation, where we cultivate and educate inner city urban youth. We want to give these youth the a forward look that they can have a brighter future opposed to what they see around them. So we definitely are in conjunction with doing that, because our youth are the future, and if we don't have a good future, then the future may look a little bleak. So I would definitely say that within the community, we've definitely had some, I guess, transitions happening among with the youth. We've had people going off to college, getting ready for college or returning to college. We've had individuals, uh, this, suicide, either murdered or murdering someone. It just hasn't been a good year in regards to youth. Um, we want to have more of a positive outlook for the youth, so they can, like I said, see that they have a brighter future. We don't want everybody to have, just the demise of just thinking that, like it's no turning around for us. Like it's like they're in a doomed future, I would say. You know what I mean? So that's definitely not the case. Um, it is essential that us as parents, we put on, well, what we teach our children, how to be model citizens, how to want to achieve something in life, how to want to, be better than, what they see around them, and that's not everybody, you know what I mean? It is some children on the right track. So I don't want to, have everybody thinking that, it's the whole inner city is just tore up, because it's not. So, but I guess into a little politics, we got the January 6th hearings. Well, the committee, they have come to a close. They sent in recommendations for indictments for former President Donald Trump. Uh, this guy has slipped through the cracks numerous times. So um, either the indictments or the case that he got going on in Atlanta or New York, like this guy got more cases than a a drug dealer on the streets. So um, hopefully, justice will prevail, and he'll get what's coming to him in regards to his involvement in the January 6th riot on the Capitol. That also just points out that, as individuals, you have to learn how to accept the results of the things that happen to you in your life. You can't just take things into your own hands and, you know, do with them as you will. Like, if you lose, any competition, election, a softball game or whatever, basketball game, you just got to take that on the chin. You got to be able to take that loss and move on from there, because failure does help you to be a better person. But if you're not equipped to do that, then failure will be something that will haunt you because you won't be able to get past that, over that hump. You know what I mean? So that's currently what's happening with Donald Trump. And some other things that's happening in politics, senators lying about their resumes, schools that they went to. I mean, it's a mess. You know what I mean? So, but we try to focus on the activities that's happening within the Black community, and to keep you guys abreast on that. We also had a wonderful toy drive. We gave out over 100 toys. That was on December 15th. So we blessed, a lot of families in that way. It was posted out in Bethana, which was on 25th and Reed. We planned for it, from the last time that we had the toy drive up to the current one, because we wanted to make, have a better outcome than what we did. And we definitely did that. It was very much so a success. Our financial director, Miss Angelina Wallace, we collaborated with another nonprofit, Bosses Give Back, ran by Miss Tiffany Coles, and those two did an outstanding job. Also, in January, we have our youth focus group. So the purpose of this focus group is to let the parents see how their parenting skills are like coming into play. The children, well, youth, we'll be talking about different aspects, ineffective and effective parenting, because I want you guys as parents to see, like I just said, if your parenting is effective or if it's ineffective. And I thought that it would be no better way. This would be the best way if the actual children, came forth and said, hey, this is what we like and don't like in regards to parenting. So I think Ms. Rudd just showed up. Let me see. All right, I do see her there. So, just another background on Miss Rudd. Like I said, she's a dance director at the Legends House. Definitely, she's a great artist in regards to the field of dance. And I'm going to let me see here. We got a little clip here. Show it, let you guys see how talented she is here. She looking nervous, like, please don't embarrass me. Nah, I got you, sis. I got you. All right, so this is from a commercial from a makeup product, and here's Miss Shayna Rudd.
Y'all ready for this? Yes! Let's do this.
All right. So without further ado, Miss Shayna Rudd. Where you at, sis? I don't see you. I don't see you. Let me see here. Oh, let's turn the layout. Let me do it again here. Did your camera freeze? I think her camera froze. Let me see. We having a technical difficulty here.
Here we go.
There you go.
Hi.
I was about to kick you out the thing. Hey, how you doing there? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Well, before we get to it, the the interview, tell us about that. Was that a commercial or something? What was going on?
So, we got approached. What was that? 2021. I think that was 2021 from a makeup company called Shayna Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
They were honoring women of like power, and they selected myself and the legend to be the face of their makeup ad. One of the women of power. I was one, and there were about 3 or 4 other women that they considered like powerful. And so I got to bring all the girls down to Washington, D.C., and they shot a commercial, with us. It was really cool for Shayna, their soul.
Oh, hello, mama.
Say hi. You okay? All right. I'm going to finish my interview. I'll be right there, okay? All right. Okay. Give me 1 second. It's the fruit snack, so right there on the counter. Yep. Sorry, guys.
So, no, that's fine. So, I brought you in because I want you to elaborate on culture, dance, and youth. So I guess our first question would be for you. Tell us about your childhood.
Guys, you're going to have to move around with me because I'm momming and doing this interview. Anyone that does interviews with me knows this is what happens because I have a child. Tell me about my childhood. Lord, what a loaded question here. So, I'm from Philadelphia. Here you go. Open it, please. Can you open it? All right. Here you go. Okay, mommy has to do this. I want it to say. Okay, so I have to do the interview. Thanks, mama. I'm from Philly, born and raised West Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Born to two West Philadelphia natives. I was primarily raised, I feel like, by women. My father was in my life. However, he was not in my life, to be fair. It was really my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great aunt, and my great cousin, just my cousin, that really raised me. I had the pleasure of being connected to both sides, grandparents, both sides, great grandparents. And so I was raised by women. And I think that made a major difference. It also cultivated me for the work that I do now because my work is really geared to Black women. And also, it prepped me in regards to history and culture. My great grandmother, who I believe is the head of my spirit team and an ancestor, she was born in Warrenton County, North Carolina. And she taught me about Jim Crow. She taught me about everything I needed to know about what was done to Black people. And so I was always zoned in from a very young age on culture, on Blackness, and on art. And I believe deeply that it was because of her. And my father was an artist. I come from a family of artists, and he was very militant in his approach. I remember watching like Roots instead of cartoons. My father definitely had his hand in that. And so for that, I'm very grateful. So my childhood was pretty average. My mother worked a lot. She was practically a single mother. She worked 2 and 3 jobs. So I was home a lot, but she put me in dance school, Philadelphia School of Dance Arts. And at 8, Joe Myers Brown, the living legend icon, Joe Myers Brown, who trained me personally. Um, share with my mother, hey, there's this scholarship program happening at the Rock School of Pennsylvania. Take Shayna down there. I think she can get it. And I got in and I had a full ride scholarship. I had that scholarship until I was 16. I never paid for tights, ballet slippers, nothing. And so I went two places. I went to Philadelphia and I went to the Rock School. It was like a handful of us Black girls that went to the Rock. And we all have remained friends to this day because it's a certain type of unity that happens when you're Black in an space. And then we would go to the Black space and be able to be ourselves. But in the white space, we kind of had to abide by that white energy, those white
Right.
rules, those white expectations. And so it all crafted who I am now. I have to be very clear about that. I see the hand of God in all of that now. But was it difficult? It was. But if I didn't have Luetho as a grandmother who taught me about Jim Crow and lynchings, I may not have been prepped for the Rock School, the Pennsylvania Ballet, and I may not have been prepped to, recognize what Joan Myers Brown was building at Philadelphia School of Dance Arts in Philadelphia. So, yeah, I went to high school, West Catholic. My mama was like dead set on sending me to Catholic school. And I honor my mother in so many ways because she basically was working to send me to school. Like she could have sent me to the neighborhood school and we would have had way more money, but we didn't have a lot of money because my mom was killing herself working. She had no support. And she did that because she wanted me in really quality education. And I
Mm-hmm.
see now as an educator why she had to make that decision. And so because of those schools, I was set up. I went to Howard University, HU. So I attended Howard University, and my life trajectory was set because of Howard. And my mom told me that, she sat me down one day and was like, I can't afford it. We cried. I thought I was gonna have to go to Westchester. No shade to Westchester. I just knew that I was supposed to be at Howard. Like I was supposed to be where Debbie Allen went to school and Donny Hathaway went to school and the greats. I knew I was supposed to be there. And so I like prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And my mother was praying at the same time and we never told each other. But at my graduation party, she like revealed that God told her, you have to send her to Howard. It's imperative that it's a reason. And we see now, why. So that's childhood. I think that was long. So yeah.
Um. Well. I don't even remember. We met. Well, obviously we met at the church, but I think I guess our relationship started through the book. I guess through the lady lesson.
Yes. Oh gosh. Amen. Amen. You did the cover of my book.
Right. Right. Right.
You did. So that was like 2010, 2009 when that whole process was going on, but I think it didn't come out till
Right.
2010. So we're at 2020. Oh my gosh, amen. Well, how many years is that? I'm slow on the math.
Probably like
2009 carried a one,
13 years, something
2002,
like that.
13 years.
Yeah. Um. I seen Shayna, dancing at the church. Um. No shade to nobody that dances, but I'm not really like into it. But I seen that. I mean, not knowing what I was watching, I knew she was different than like the other people. You dig what I'm saying? And I guess at that time, what Patty was over it, I guess.
Yes, Patricia for years. Shout out to Patricia Easter. I think she's Elder Patricia Easter now,
Right. Hmm.
who was
Yeah,
over the
actually
dance
doing the
ministry for
promotion.
years.
And um you were one of the youth at the church that kind of cultivated the skill. You know what I mean? I never really, how can I say, I guess appreciated the tenacity of the art until my kids started to
Yeah,
do it. You know what I mean? That's why I brought you on because it's a thing in arts. Whether it's dance, singing, you may play a violin or paint
right.
or whatever like that, that projects these children into a brighter future.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So So how important, I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but how important was culture to you coming up?
Woo! I think I didn't know. I wish you could see this room I'm sitting in right now. It's my office. Y'all, I have to move, but it's my office slash dining room. And I have pictures of James Baldwin and Maya Angelou and Michael Jackson is over here, and Debbie Allen and Felicia Rashad and Judith Jameson down here, and Spike Lee is over here, like my people. And very early on, it resonated with me. I would find peace in like the stories of legends. So like if I was having a bad day, I would like read Maya Angelou's bio, like Wikipedia, and like study it and break it down. Or I would think of, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who was the president of Ghana, and I would sit and study and bathe in it because I felt connected to the stories of Black people who were not just your everyday people, but that I felt like God kind of put a light on them to just shine our stories, tell our stories, live our story. And so culture has always played a huge role in my life because I feel like without it, I would not have survived. I'm from West Philly, right? I'm from West Philly. Like I said, we did not have a lot of money. And so I had to dream in order to get out. I would practice my interview with Oprah Winfrey. I created a culture within my own life where I was striving for, I'm going to sit in Oprah Winfrey's chair. She's going to interview me about something. I don't know what, but she's going to interview me. And I believe that I was manifesting through my love of. Thank you, soul. Give me a second. I believe I was manifesting through my love of culture, what God was sharing with me, like my life would be, if that makes sense. I
Right.
didn't realize it until I was like on Howard's campus, and then they announced your commencement speaker for your graduation is Oprah Winfrey. I will never forget the feeling of knowing like of all the people, to be our commencement speaker. It was this woman who I practiced the interview, who I studied her life. I've resonated with her. She had been sexually abused. She had gone through all these things, and yet she had still made it. She went to a Black school. She did pageants. She felt ugly. Like I the stories of my people and my ancestors has literally pulled me through. Um, I did not want to be ordinary because my ancestors are not ordinary. And that resonated so deeply within me. And I think it cost me at times because I feel like to operate in that level of confidence when you're little is strange. But I knew from a young age that I was a part of that regime, if that makes sense. So culture has played a huge role in my life. My love of history is the air that I breathe outside of God. If you know me, you know that. Like you don't come to a legend show and not experience me discussing our people. And I think culture is a way of life. So culture is not just, it's not race. It's it is what we create every day. My mama got her nails done every 2 weeks. I saw that growing up. There's a culture in our in my life where you get your nails done every 2 weeks. That was started by my mama. It's your way of life. It's your way of being. History and dedicating my life from a very young age to Black people is a dynamic in my life. It is a systemic, it is my wiring, if that makes sense. And it chose me. It chose me. I did not choose it, but okay, it chose me, and then I, with my autonomy, choose it every single day. Like bro knows I just was in the streets running around and had to get in the house real fast. And I'm like, I guess I need to put on a cute top and give the people a lash. And it was like, no, like you have on a Howard hoodie. That's the culture. You are sending a message even in that about your dedication to the culture. So I hope that answers your question. I can talk all day about culture, but in our house here, there's a culture of Blackness. There's a culture of respecting the ancestors, a culture, of course, of respecting God, but respecting the God of the ancestors, right? So
Interesting, interesting. Um, so was dance always your first choice?
Was it? I don't know. When you're 3 years old and your mama take you to a dance school and drop you off and leave. I mean, I don't really know. I think my mom chose dance for me. She said that she always wanted to dance. The story is that I was in preschool and we had like some type of concert, and I had to fake play the guitar, and I like knocked all the kids out the way and was like going like crazy, and I was like 3. And my mom said she looked at my grandmother, and my grandmother looked at her and was like, call Freedom Theater tomorrow, call Philadelphia tomorrow, call somebody tomorrow. Whatever that is, we've got to cultivate it now. And so I remember them saying that they liked Freedom Theater. That's what happened. And so they signed me up for Philadelphia, I think, right on the spot. I went to Danko. No, sweetheart, give me one moment, please. Um, they signed me up right away. And from there, that was it. So I love dance, but I was also an actress. I also was vocally inclined. I think dance was the first thing, right? And I became exquisitely trained in dance, whereas the other things I didn't do as much training. So I think this would have happened whether they sent me to vocal class, whether they sent me to acting class. I think I still would be in this position, still doing the same thing. But it was dance that my mother and my grandmother were like, well, just let's just send her to dance school. And I think everything came out through dance. I remember one time being prayed for by Apostle Ellis, and he was like, "It's everything is in the dance," and he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Only you know what that means," and he was right. It's everything was locked inside of the dance for me.
That's pretty interesting. So you mentioned that you watched youth Roots as a child. So I guess coming up, with that background, going to a HBCU, pretty much being a trailblazer within the black community, I would say. How is it beneficial that African American parents teach their children about their culture?
Well, I think it's what's missing. And the schools are wiping it out. So parents have to be the first partakers. I always tell my students, know your God and know your history. And if you don't know your history, you are going to repeat things that systemically will ail us. It's very important. My mother didn't know. She didn't know, that I was obsessed with history. Maybe she did. My dad was a history buff. And that was the culture once again of the house. That was really the only thing I feel like I really got from my dad. And I went into schools like, do you know about Nina Simone? Why aren't we learning about that? Because there was this self education thing happening in my home around Blackness that was super important. And so, what I find now at the Legends House is I empower my girls with the history, I empower their parents with the history, and then they go back to their schools and ask questions like, well, why is my daughter only learning about Martin Luther King? Yeah, he's important. But let's talk about Lorraine Hansberry. Like, why aren't we talking about her? Why aren't we talking about Marcus Garvey? Why aren't we having those discussions? Do you know who Malafi Asante is? He's right here in Philly. You know, so I have parents who are now empowered. So speaking directly to parents, you learning your history, knowing it, being empowered by the stories of your people, and then passing that information down to your children, and then also putting a demand on educators to make sure that they are teaching your children the right stuff is the only way I think the system can work. The education system was not designed for Black and brown children. It was not. Sometimes I think it needs to be obliterated. We don't have to go into that today. I don't want to embarrass my brother, but I think if we're going to be in K education, dealing with the systemic issues in K through 12 education, we have to self-educate our children. We have to have cultural dynamics in our homes that teach them the truth, so that they can go into classrooms confidently about who they are, and they can also not debate lies, but teach their teachers. Black History Month is the craziest month for me in Legends because all my girls are cutting up because they're in their classrooms like, I'm not doing that assignment. Don't tell me to do Sojourner Truth again. Don't tell me to do Malcolm X again. Like, did you know that Malcolm X went to Mecca and changed his name? Like, they're in the classrooms debating. I love it, but it's wild. I have to write letters to teachers. They come back to me. I'm talking to principals. The principals want to know, well, where'd you learn that? I attend the Legends House, and this is the expectation. So, parents, you get in the driver's seat of your students' historical education. It is imperative, especially now because they're trying to wipe out critical race theory in schools.
So I'm going to ask you to explain this photo.
Explain it. That photo was taken in 2009, I believe, when I was being crowned Miss Black USA. And I look like I'm smiling. I'm sure I was very happy to achieve that honor.
How did all that come about?
So I'm a pageant girl, old school doll. I started pageantry at Howard. My first pageant was a Miss Black and Gold pageant. Shout out to Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Beta chapter. I won that pageant, and then in maybe the next semester, I competed for Miss Howard. I won Miss Howard. And
Hmm.
then I competed on the district level of Miss Black and Gold. I won the regional level of Miss Black and Gold. I won the national level. I kept winning. And when you
Hmm.
go to all these different places, different people see you.
Right.
And there was a man there by the name of Orlando Xavier Hickson. He said, "You should be at Miss America."
Hmm.
And I said, like, come on, like, Miss America, like, I'm just doing pageants. I was winning little scholarships as I was
Right.
going. And he's like, no, you should be at Miss America. And I said, maybe he's right. Like, I remember calling my mom, like, maybe I should try. So I went out for Miss District of Columbia. I'll never forget the day I arrived to the audition. I had to walk. I don't even talk about it. Just being poor child in college. I walked so many blocks. It was pouring down rain. I had a headscarf on my head. I looked like they turned their noses up to me when I came into the room because I just looked like, I didn't know what I was doing. And I got through the preliminary. I got into the pageant. I win Miss DC on the first try. They called me the assassin. Because nobody, they were like, where the heck did this girl come from? Like, who is this little black girl, this headscarf? I mean, headscarf, West Philly girl with a bun in the back. Like, we just going to the corner store. That's how I walked up in there.
Hmm.
And I remember the trainer, John Morris. He said you got in rehearsal and your leg went all the way past your head and your foot was like this. And he was like, we have a problem. There was a young lady there who had gone year after year after year. And this was her last year. And then Miss America, for Miss DC going to Miss America, you age out. And this was
Right.
her last year. So if she didn't win this year, she was done. And everybody had their money on this girl. And I was young. I could have did it a couple more times. And he said he turned to her and was like, honey, you better get yourself together because that one right there, she coming for you. And I didn't even have like I was fine. Like if I didn't win that time, I would have been fine. But I won on the first try. I was at Miss America in January. So that was July. I graduated Howard May. July I was at Miss DC. January I was at Miss America in Las Vegas. I didn't win Miss America. I won interview. I won talent. I didn't win all. And then I did Miss Black USA and I won right away. Miss Black USA.
Oh, I never know you won that. I didn't even know you was in that competition.
Yes.
Unmute yourself. Oh, there you go. So like I said, our relationship started with this book. Um, well, I mean, we share the same mom. She just happened to give birth to you. She act like she gave birth to me. Phenomenal woman. So she's helping me out in so many areas in parenting. So, like I said, being as though that's your birth mom, how has that prepared you to be the mom that you are today? How has she groomed you into being Mom Rudd, the new
You
Mom Rudd?
know, my mom, she's a very few words, quiet. I mean, she got many words for us, but overall, she's a very low key type of woman. When I found out I was pregnant, it was not the best time. I will say that it wasn't the best time for us. We were sad. There were so many rough things happening for me, and I had to make some really difficult decisions about my next steps. And I made a huge decision to kind of track on this on my own with my daughter, to leave my marriage at that time. And my mom, I remember her saying to me, there was a lot of controversy around me being married and unmarried and what happened. It was rumors on Facebook. It was negative things being said about me. And I kind of had to sit there and take it. And I remember saying to my, like crying to my mom when I was pregnant. And she said, remember this, what's on the record always plays and the cream always rises. And she said, I want you to sit back and I want you to be quiet. Not because you can't fight, but because I want you to sit back and keep your hands out of it and prepare to be a mother. And it was the best advice ever. And she said, people will be able to see who you are in the end. And she never lied.
Mhm.
During that time, I was in a master's program. I had housing insecurities. I was sleeping on her couch one day. I was on somebody else's couch the next day, and I was pregnant. And I was broke, and I was in a master's program at Penn, and it was hard. And I had nothing to wear, and it broke down. It just broke me down to the white meat. I'm telling you, it really did. My mom just kept, I saw a mother who worked extremely hard, two jobs, hustling, and that thing that she did for me to make sure that I was set up, I knew that I had to do it even pregnant. So, and then when I had Soul, Soul was in school with me at Penn. She was a Penn baby. She would be in class. I would have her on my chest. When I
Mhm.
graduated, Soul was on my hip when I walked across the stage. All that's Dawn Rudd. That work ethic, that character, that poise, that sit back and watch let everybody watch the show, keep your mouth off of people, because what's on the record plays. All that's my mama. My mother, is just a very character driven woman with a fierce work ethic. And I believe that that's what I get from her, the poise. I used to say the definition of a lady diva is the strength of a freedom fighter with the elegance of an opera singer. That's my mother.
Mhm. Definitely.
Strong, strong. No one would believe the stuff my mother has been through. You would never believe it because she doesn't wear it.
Right.
She's elegant in it. And I feel like I have that aspect of her very much so. And I think that it has shown up in how I've set up my life for my daughter. If I would have given up, we would not have the life we have now. And so
Right.
Soul is directly reaping the benefits of not only my mother's obedience, but my obedience because of what my mother taught me, if that makes sense.
True. I feel you. I feel you. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Last question. What advice would you have for today's performers in regards to, now the question said dance, but what advice would you have in regards to just the arts and culture?
Nina Simone says the artist's job is to reflect the times. So if you're creating right now and you are not acknowledging all of the things that are happening in the world from a social justice issue, I would say go back to the drawing board. We have to use our bodies, our voices, our art, our theater, everything, our poetry to make the revolution, as Tony K. Bombard says, irresistible. And I think it's okay to just sing a song about anything or do a dance about anything. But there's so much going on, and the goal is to be a revolutionary artist. And for me, there is no other way. So, excuse me, I would say get busy in your art, get become well read, be aware of what's going on in the world, and then create art. Some people listen to people speak, but they'll watch you dance. They'll listen to you sing. Um, think about what Stevie Wonder did. Think about what Marvin Gaye did with what's going on. Think about, they could have done anything, but they
Mm-hmm.
stopped and they made a decision to use their art to propel the people forward. So that would be my advice to artists today. It's so people are getting murdered in the city of Philadelphia. I don't even know the numbers anymore. Somebody told me we're well into the 500s now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how can you be an artist and not address that in your next show and be from Philly?
Mm-hmm.
It's a waste of your art.
Um, I appreciate you, sharing this story with me. Well, us, the viewers. I definitely appreciate you coming out to our first, youth summit.
Thank
Um,
you for having me. It was wonderful. And it was even more wonderful because it was my first time meeting the Diva Davis and my last time meeting the Diva. I cannot believe that happened. So thank
yeah,
you.
I think we both you can just tell she was a true parent. Like the conversation, just 5 words from that woman was phenomenal. So,
Yeah.
it was. I definitely glad you enjoyed that experience. But Shane, I love you. You know I do.
I
I
love
appreciate
you.
you coming out. Hopefully we can have you again. And you go ahead and take care of Soul. And
You
thanks
hear
again
her back here.
for
She
showing up.
opening up presents again.
Oh, she got like a whole. Tell her to send me some of them presents.
Whole tree is just she just opening up stuff.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, sis. Love you, and I'll talk with you later on. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
You too, guys. Thank you.
All right, bye bye. That was Miss Shayna Rudd, talented artist, dancer, innovator, great performer. I've learned so much more, about my, I guess you could say, my spiritual sister. You know what I mean? I just wanted her to come on and address the topic of the importance of culture, like the arts. Now, culture isn't just arts. You got literature, you got history, you got worldview. That's how certain parts of the world see things. But I wanted her to come in and discuss, the arts part of your culture. You know what I mean, and how important that is. Like she said, she was, soaked into her history and then made her, the person that she is today. Now she says something that I never knew. I never knew this child was from sofa to sofa. I mean, that ain't my business anyway. But I remember my mom saying, never let people see how bad you doing. And if she'd have never mentioned that, I'd have never known that. You know what I mean? But as black people, we're in a state of always being in, like oppressed. And you would never know because just like her mom said, you just sit back and you watch the record play. And the people, well, what witness in regards to what's happening. You know what I mean? So I appreciate her for coming out, for sharing her story. Um, I got 3 young ladies, me and their mom is doing the best that we can to help cultivate these young ladies, these young women. Um, I was going to Temple. Uh, I was in the African American Studies program. Dr. Asante, that was he was the chair of the program at the time. He now runs his own institute, Malafe Asante Institute. And I figured that since I was getting all this information, coming in, that I would share this with my daughters. And Shayna doesn't know this, but I remember her telling the story of, her dad having her watch Roots at a young age. And like when I heard it, it didn't kind of throw me back. Like it kind of just made sense. Because if these kids can learn rap songs at 5, they can learn culture at 5. Well, when my kids was watching it, they were about, I would say, maybe like 10, something like that there. So um I wanted them to know like where they came from, the type of history that they had, you know what I mean? And it paid off because just like Shayna is, these young ladies are very cultivated. You know what I mean? They're into their history. They're into the dynamics of being a black woman, of being a black female. They're into, you know, uh, excuse me, preventing injustices in their community, things like that. And I'm proud of them. You know what I mean? When I was coming up, education was key, but my mom really didn't, like, she wasn't really on me. You know what I mean? Like all that extra stuff that, the pushing and everything that Shane and mom did to make sure that, she could be well cultivated in the skills that she had. I don't know if my mom just didn't know about that or whatever the situation was, but it didn't happen. And you can see when you push your children to the next level, regardless if they're ready or not. Because the only thing Shayna said was that she went out and pushed these kids out and was acting like she's playing this guitar. Like her grandmother and mom seen something in her. And if they didn't take the initiative to say, hey, you know what? This young lady right here is going to be something. You call The Rock or Philadanko tomorrow, and we going to make sure that that happens. And this child, I mean, this woman has her own dance company. Who would imagine that? I'm sure her grandmother and her mother sitting there in the audience, seeing this I believe 3-year-old bust through these children, would have never imagined that she would have become the woman that she is today. And it's a wonderful thing when you see your children go from the lowest part of their life and become elevated into the purpose that they have in their life. And I thank God for my kids. We first had, Amaya, I was clueless because I ain't know how to be no parent. I ain't, JJ and Bonnie they weren't even really average. You know what I mean? But they did what they could. Well, my mom did what she could to make sure that I had some type of morals to become the person that I am today. You know what I mean? So, sometimes it doesn't always take like the full functionality of being a parent. Sometimes it takes just a word, just like you in church and they give you that word, that word can bring you, forward. It can help motivate you, help cultivate you, shape you into the person that you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? So, sometimes you got to listen to the advice of elders and, become a better person. If that's what's on the canvas for you. You know what I mean? Like once you start painting on that canvas, your creativity starts to expound and you never know what the end result would be. So, that's definitely something to look forward to, because you definitely want to be more than what you see that's happening around you. You know what I mean? So that's definitely key. And parents, don't be discouraged. Sometimes things may not work out the way that you want them to, but you got to keep trying. You know what I mean? So you definitely got to keep trying. So we do a little thing where we announce birthdays. So we definitely going to announce this young lady's birthday right here. That's my daughter, Amaya Monet Bonnie Parker. On the 27th of December, this young lady became, well, legal. She was legal. She became 18. Um, Also that month, she also got accepted into George Mason. And let me tell you, she ain't need us, me or her mom, to do what she did to get into George Mason. This child did it on her own. And I used to be like, I ain't really like bragging on my kids, but yeah, damn that. They the truth. She did this so fast, you would think it was an assembly line because she did all the just like Shayna just said, she did all the research into like our culture. Like Amaya went in and found out the things that she had to do. You know what I mean? And with the proper backing of her parents and other individuals and her own motivation, she got to where she's at now. So, next semester she'll be a freshman at George Mason University. Her family is definitely proud of her. I'm proud of her. The foundation is proud of her. Also, in December, she officially became the youth director of the organization. So we definitely are proud in regards to her promotion. Um, the things that we mentioned can happen to anybody, any youth. You just have to put forth the effort as a parent to make sure that that happens. And sometimes, like I ain't gonna lie, doing some things for your kids can be a little, exhausting. But be exhausted and keep doing it. She got a younger sister, Amani. She go to Kappa. They had practices like for the winter dance, and I gotta pick up from rehearsal. You know what I mean? And sometimes I don't want to pick up, but I'll have no choice because she's relying on me to do this. It's a simple task of picking her up. You know what I mean? And then it's building our relationship better because she knows that she can depend on her dad. You'd be surprised how many individuals can't depend on their own parents. And it's supposed to be the person that, is supposed to guide you in life and, give you instruction and advice and counseling. Your parent is supposed to be your advisor, not your friend, but your advisor. Now you got some people that say, "Well, I'm my kid's friend." Like, no, I'm not your friends. Amaya, Amani, and Ambrielle, we not friends. We have a relationship. I'm your father. I'm better than your friend. Your friends ain't coming to pick you up from dance rehearsal, 8 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? And cash apping you, the money that you need to, get lunch with and things like that. That's things that parents do, not friends. Not all friends anyway. I'm not gonna say all friends do that. I mean, don't do that. But you have to know that the relationship of a parent is way better than that of a friend. Like I just mentioned, Shayna's mom Dawn, bro. Um, I'm not her friend, and she's not mine. That's my spiritual mom. Like, and the reason why I say that is because it's just not that type of relationship. Like it can't be a line that's crossways, though she corrected me, which she has, done plenty of times. And I will get confused, like, well, I thought we was tight. You know what I mean? Like that don't happen like that. You know what I mean? Like you have to know where to draw boundaries at. You know what I mean? So, But like I said, we're proud of Amaya, proud of Shayna. We're proud of all the youth out here. I mean, Shayna isn't youth anymore. Because we want you guys to excel and become the next Shayna Rudd, become the next Marvin Gaye, become the next Dr. Asante, to become the next Stokely Carmichael, Malcolm X, you know what I mean, Dr. Martin Luther King, you know what I mean, the guy that organized the march for the March on Washington, A. Philip Randolph. You know what I mean? We want you guys to become icons in your community and not the next victim or the next client at a mortician's establishment or the next inmate at a prison. But parents, it's up to you. You have to draw the line. You can't be scared of your kids. You have to direct them. You know what I mean? When your kids say, I don't want to do that, don't pay them no mind. They don't know what they're talking about. If it's for their best interest, then you have them do that. And if you don't know it's for their best interest, then you call somebody that's a reliable parent and you ask. You say, hey, I got a situation going on with so and so. Like, what you think about this? Because that's what I do. I call Shayna mom like at least once a week. I mean, sometimes I'm checking on her, and other times it's like, Mom, what you think about this? Because both my parents is gone, but I realized that I need somebody that's going to give me advice. And if it wasn't for Dawn Rudd and George Lagan, Wesley Proctor, Jimmy Ellis, I don't know what type of person I would be today. Betty Lagan, that's the village. That's my own personal village. Gwinnett Ross, Virginia Booth. You know what I mean? You need a village of people that can help you, to shape you and advise you and say, hey, like that's not right what you're doing. Or I wouldn't do that. Or, they give you advice in regards to, like what's happening. You know what I mean? So I thank you guys for coming out. I hope you enjoyed Shayna. We'll definitely have her back. Next week we'll have a surprise guest speaker. It's a surprise because I don't know who it is. But I'll definitely find out. But you guys have been great. I thank you guys for just always tuning in, whether it's live or after the broadcast. I definitely appreciate it. If you want to give to this cause, that's our Cash App right there. It's $sign ELZFDN. All the proceeds go towards supporting youth. You know what I mean? So we got 2 youth coming up. They were our scholars of the month, Miss Sabria Travis. So she's the scholar of the month for December. And we have Miss Brayla Shavers. She was the scholar of the month for November. And we definitely have one coming up for what's that? January. So that's it for me, guys. God bless and good night.